Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Samastajana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om, salutations to all. We are on Canto 4, the 6th chapter today. We saw how Veerabhadra destroyed the sacrifice of Daksha, and Daksha was beheaded. The eyes of Bhaga were gouged out. Pusha, his teeth were destroyed. Bhrigu Rishi's beard and mustache were taken away. Were removed, uprooted. So that entire sacrifice of Daksha got destroyed. Yajna is supposed to be that which will bring auspiciousness. But that yajna where Lord Shiva is ignored, insulted, and Sati has immolated herself, naturally cannot bring an auspicious result. Symbolism also we have to understand here. Yajna is not just coming together working for a cause, but it is sinking our differences and putting aside the ego. Then yajna will bring the rain of prosperity, abundance, peace, happiness. So in our day-to-day life also, when we work, every action can become a yajna when it is done. Is my audio clear to you? You can type in the chat. All right, thank you. So the sacrifice of Daksha is also symbolic in our day-to-day life. If we work with this attitude of selflessness, of dedication, then that yajna will bring the rain of prosperity, abundance, etc. But when we don't work like that, so merely people coming together and doing work is not called teamwork. Teamwork is when everybody is bonded with a common vision, and that vision is more important than the individual likes, dislikes, attachments, ego, self-importance, recognition. That is called teamwork and yajna. So now naturally Daksha's yajna did not have these. It got destroyed. So that's where we saw at the end of the last discourse, 5th chapter, that Veerabhadra cut off the head of Daksha and threw it into the fire. And he went away to Mount Kailas. Now the next chapter, 6th chapter, begins with this, from this scene, that all these devatas, they were completely routed, defeated, and they were full of fear, injured. So many of them, their limbs were broken. With all these weapons that Veerabhadra and the army had brought, tridents, patishas, swords, maces, iron clubs, mallets. So the devatas, the officiating priests, everybody went to Brahmaji and they narrated everything in detail. Now Brahmaji and Vishnu Bhagavan were not a part of this yajna. So they had foreseen, so they did not attend the yajna of Daksha. Now Brahmaji said, see the fourth shloka, Tada karnya vibhupraha teji yasikrita gasi kshemaya tatra sabhuyat naprayena bubhushatam. Somebody who has great power, if you try to get square with such a person, after offending that person, then it will not lead to any welfare. This applies to common people also. In the world also, we see somebody is very powerful and some wrong has been done to that person. And more one is trying to, make that person feel low or lesser. It will not lead to welfare. Here what they have done, what Daksha has done, he has offended Lord Shiva himself, the most powerful one. So here he says that, you were on the other hand actually guilty of offense against Lord Shiva. And what is the offense? Wantedly the portion of the yajna, the offering which has to go to him, was not given to him. And Brahmaji doesn't say that, earlier what Daksha had insulted, that is the reason, because that is not the reason. Bhagwan left that. Lord Shiva forgot his own insult, he didn't bother. And he did not even bother that the yajna offering was not left for him in the yajna. The place was not kept for him. He didn't bother. It was Mother Sati who said that I have to go there, I want to go there and all that. And then Sati saw clearly how Lord Shiva was insulted, and Sati also got insulted because Daksha didn't pay attention to her, ignored her. And when Sati saw all this, she immolated herself. Now that angered Lord Shiva. So he says here that you have to go to him. Why have you come to me? What can I do? Whom you have offended, you go to that person and seek forgiveness. And he is Ashutosh, so he can be propitiated soon. Kshipra prasadam pragrahitangri padmam prasadayadvam parishuddha chetasa. With a genuine apology, with pure heart, go seek his forgiveness and he will get, he will forgive you. So don't worry. So go to him. Now he further continues. He said, if you want the sacrifice to be revived, then go and seek forgiveness of Lord Shiva. I cannot revive the sacrifice because it was Daksha who insulted Lord Shiva, and now Mother Sati also has immolated herself. If Lord Shiva continues to remain angry, the whole world will get destroyed. So you have to go and seek forgiveness of Lord Shiva. He says, neither I can do anything, nor the deities of the yajna, devatas of the yajna, nor the sages. Nobody knows what is the infinite glory of Lord Shiva. And he says that none would feel inclined to contrive any means to placate him who is independent, except seeking his forgiveness. There is nothing else that can be done in this situation. Who has been offended, one has to go and seek forgiveness of that person. So now, Devatas, when they heard this, they said, all right, we have to go to Lord Shiva, we will go. Because Devatas also are at fault. They took part in Daksha's yajna. They were silent spectators when adharma was happening. Now they are paying price of it. So that is another point to understand. Devatas, when they saw Daksha insulting Lord Shiva, they could have stood up saying this is not appropriate. When they saw there is no place for Lord Shiva in the yajna, they could have questioned Daksha. But just because he is in power and he is the Lord of all Prajapatis, all these Devatas kept quiet. That is what happens in the world. People of power, they get more, whatever they do, people think it is all right because they want favors from such people. They want to be in the good books of such people. So they will compromise against dharma. Now they get the result of this. Because some people ask why Devatas have to suffer. It was between Daksha and Lord Shiva. But Devatas were silent spectators. And some of them laughed. This Bhaga and Pusha, they all were a part of that insult also. So Devatas, they got beaten up. They got their karma phala. Now Devatas are going to Lord Shiva. Now Brahmaji is kind enough to accompany them. You see, he doesn't say that you have done the wrong, now you go. Brahmaji accompanies them. So Devatas along with this Pitrus and the Prajapatis and Brahmaji, they all go from Brahmaloka to Mount Kailas. Now here comes a beautiful description of Mount Kailas. So from verse 9 onwards up to verse 26, not more than that, up to 31. Verse 9 to 31 is the description of Kailas. Beautiful description of the natural beauty of Kailas is here. Janmaushadhi tapo mantra yoga siddhair naretaraihi jushtam kinnara gandharvaihi apsarobhirvritam sada. So Mount Kailas has Devatas. And who are these Devatas? They have supernatural powers from their very birth and who acquired them by the use of specific herbs which are found in Kailas, and then using those herbs and then doing austere penance and various tantra sadhana as well as the yoga sadhana. These Devatas became more and more powerful. So such Devatas are there, Kinnaras are there, Gandharvas are there. They are the musicians, celestial musicians. Apsaras are there. Amidst all that, Bhagavan Shiva remains steady in contemplation. That is Lord Shiva. Then, Nana Manimayai Shringaihi Nana Dhatu Vichitritaihi Nana Druma Latagulmaihi Nana Mrigagana Vritaihi. So this summits, the peaks, Kailas is one, but there are so many other peaks. So the peaks of the Kailas mountain as well as the mountains around it, they consist of jewels of various kinds, minerals of every description, There are trees, creepers, shrubs, wild beasts of all kinds, limpid water, many caves, and it affords delight to the wives of Siddhas that sport there in the company of their spouses. So Siddhas with their wives, they are also there. So Devatas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, Siddhas, all these along with the beasts and birds and the trees and lakes and caves, many things beautifully, all these are there. Then he says that Mayureka, Mayura Keka Bhirutam Mandadhali Vimurchitam Plavitairakta Kanthanam Kujitaischa Patatrinam Ahvayantamivodhastaihi Dvijan Kamad Dudhairdrumaihi Vrajantamiva Matangaihi Grinantamiva Nirjharaihi. So birds, now description comes of the birds. So the sound of various birds, so the screams of peacocks and the echoes with the melodious humming of bees blinded by intoxication, the shrill notes of the cuckoos, warbling of other birds, and there is wish-fulfilling tree, this Kalpadruma. Kamadyumaihi is Kalpadruma, Kalpataru, different names. So wish-fulfilling trees with their towering boughs, it seems to call new birds, raising its arms. Now there are elephants who are moving around in that area. Elephants, it seems to be in motion, and through its murmuring rills, it appears to speak. So natural beauty of Kailas comes like this. Beautiful verses are here. The mountain is adorned with Mandara, Parijata. Now different types of trees are described. Mandara, Parijata, pine trees like Saralas, Tamalas, Salas, Palmiras, Kovidaras, Asanas, Arjunas, all of these. Mango tree, Kadamba tree, Nipas, Nagas, Punnagas, Champakas, Patalas, Ashokas, Bakulas, Kundas, these are now the flowering trees. Kundas, Kurabakas, golden lotuses, creepers bearing cardamoms, Malatis, Kubjas, Mallikas, Madhavis, breadfruit trees, Udumbaras, fig tree, Plaksha, Banyan, birches, then the annual tree like banana, betel nut tree, Rajapugas, rose apple trees, date palms, hog plums. Amras is one type of a tree. Does not mean juice of mango. Amras is one type of mango tree. Trialas, Madhukas, soapnut trees, variety of trees, clusters of bamboos, both of hollow and solid type. Look at the detailing here. Swarms of birds sweetly warbling on the margin of its ponds, rich in their beds of lilies and lotuses of various kinds. It is infested with deers, monkeys, boars, lions, bears, porcupines, gayal, sharabhas. The sharabha is extinct today. It's a species of 8-footed animals now extinct. Tigers, rurus, black antelopes, wild buffaloes, wild beasts, Karnantras, Ekapada, species of 1-footed animals, Ashwamukhas, wolves, musk deer, and strands of its ponds look charming with the cluster of banana trees surrounding them. It is hemmed in by the river Nanda. So Nanda here is Gangaji, whose holy waters have been hallowed by the touch of Sati, who bathed in it. The gods felt astonished to see the beauty of Mount Kailas, the abode of Lord Shiva. Amidst all this, Lord Shiva lives quietly. Many times we may be thinking that Kailas is, just a barren mountains around or just some snow peaks. None of this must be there. And Shivji is always lost in meditation. Mother Parvati must be feeling bored. But look at the description of Kailas. What everything is there. What may not be found in this world also is there in Kailas. So enough things that Mother Parvati can do, where even if Lord Shiva is full-time lost in meditation, there's enough natural beauty and many other things which are described. Then there they also saw the capital of Kuber, the celebrated and beautiful city of Alka, the capital of Kuber, who is the lord of Yakshas, is the treasurer of gods also. And there's a garden called Saugandhika, and there is, in that garden, there are lotuses also of the name of Saugandhika. That's why that garden is called Saugandhika. Now, along the outskirts of the city flowed the two rivers, Nanda and Alaknanda. Both are Gangaji. Both flow from the feet of Bhagwan Vishnu, which have derived utmost sanctity from the dust of the feet of Lord Vishnu. Then there are aerial cars and these celestial women. They take bath in these these waters, sprinkling their mates with water. Now, all this description is given. Crowded with hundreds of aerial cars made of silver, gold, and most precious jewels, and inhabited by the wives of Yakshas, the city looked like the firmament overcast with clouds accompanied by lightning. This is Alkapuri, Kuber's kingdom in Kailas. So they are passing by. It's not in Kailas exactly, around that place or whatever, nearby that area. So they pass by. As they are seeing, they overpass the capital of Kuber, as well as the aforementioned garden called Saugandhika, which looked charming with its wish-yielding trees laden with fruits, flowers, leaves of various colors. This wish-fulfilling tree is there in many places. We think there's only one. Kalpataru is only one. But lots of places they have. You see, Kailas also has, Alkapuri also has. Many places these wish-fulfilling trees are there. The notes of cuckoos and the hosts of other birds in that garden added to the melody of the bees, and it was spotted with ponds containing lotus beds, the most favorite resort of swans. The breeze wafting the perfume of its sandalwood trees, whose bark was scratched by wild elephants. Wild elephants rub their bodies against the bark to relieve their body of itching. So the sandalwood trees have all those marks. It flamed the passion of Yaksha women again and again. They saw a number of extensive wells containing beds of blue lotuses and provided with stairs of cat's eye, which are frequented by Kim Purushas. And not far from them, they sighted a banyan tree. Now, this is the exact location where we are zooming in, as though, Devtas are flying, and then you are first seeing the aerial view of Kailas, the top view of what all is there in Kailas, passing by Alkapuri also. And now specifically in that region, on that Mount Kailas, Bhagwan is sitting below this huge banyan tree. The form of Dakshinamurti Bhagwan is described here. Now see the description of that banyan tree. Sayojana Shatotsedhaha Pado Navitapayataha Paryakrita Nirnidastapavarjitaha Tasmin Maha Yogamaye Mumukshusharane Suraha Dadrishu Shivamasinam. tyakta marshamivantakam. So the tree has a height of 800 miles. Just imagine the height of 800 miles. And its boughs extended to a distance of 75, means 600 miles on every side. It cast a permanent shade on all sides and thus warded off the sun, yet it contained no nest. Can you imagine banyan tree having no nest? Beneath that tree, just looking at that tree, the mind becomes so focused and concentrated, it says here, was the happy resort of those seeking liberation. Who are coming there to Lord Shiva? People who seek liberation. These devatas, they saw Bhagavan Shiva there, seated like death, free from anger. Bhagavan anyway is destroyer. No? He is the destroyer of the world, as well as he is destroyer of ignorance. Those who want liberation, they want destruction of ignorance. So they have approached Lord Shiva in Kailas, who is sitting below a banyan tree. Many times we think Kailas is just, there are no trees there, and Bhagavan must be sitting amidst only ice. Everywhere there is only ice. See, these descriptions which are given here, they are also to engage the mind in visualization. Because if our mind is anyway visualizing in sense objects and some enjoyment and brooding over some, people, some situations, some incidents, that will bring more and more raga and dvesha. That will create more bondage. Rather than that, better it is to sit quietly, visualize all these different aspects of Kailas, the areas around it, and how Bhagavan is sitting below this huge banyan tree, and then there are devotees there who seek liberation. So the mind gets a better field to engage itself, as well as this will not create raga and dvesha. It will only invoke more bhakti, and that's the means to liberation. More bhavana towards Lord, more sharanagati, more shraddha, all that will happen. Now one may say, but if we go today to Kailas, none of these are there. So now we have to understand Kailas is at 3 levels. Adi Bhautik level is what we see today, which is there in Tibet, and the mountains are there, and one goes through various, there are different routes to reach Kailas, and it is said that by next year end, 85% of that route will be through India's side. So we don't have to go via Nepal and China. But last 15% anyway will be, through that in China only, because finally the mountain is there in Tibet and the Chinese have taken over Tibet. So it is still in China only. It is not a part of Bharat. But 85% of the route at least will be through Bharat. Now, the point is that Kailas is the Adi Bhautik Kailas. This Kailas is Adi Daivik Kailas, meaning the subtler realm. Whatever exists here in this gross realm is a manifestation or a part manifestation of what is in the subtler realm. And then the deepest is the Adhyatmic level, which is a subjective experience, where Kailas means the self. So the one who shines in our heart, Lasati means to shine. So that one who shines continuously in our heart is that supreme self. We feel aham, aham, aham. So that is the description given in the Puranas. Now, different places, there are different descriptions which are given. This is Srimad Bhagavatam description. Then there are descriptions of Kailas in Shiv Puran also. In different other scriptures it is there. So Shiv Puran, I'm just reading one shloka. Sa uvasa girau shambhuhu kailase parvatottame saguno yoga nirataha swachhando dhyana tatparaha क्वचिद् दध्यौ स्वमात्मानं क्वचिद् योगरतो अभवत् इतिहासं गणान् प्रीत्या आवदीत् स्वच्छन्दमानसः. So Shiva, who stays at Kailas, the best of the mountains, he stays there with his ganas practicing yoga. He himself delivers discourses on various Puranic texts. That's what the shlokas, two shlokas they say. Then Kailas, Linga Purana says this, Kailaso Yaksha Rajasya Kuberasya Mahatmanaha Nivasa Koti Yakshanam Tathan Yesham Mahatmanam. Kailas is the abode of Kubera, the king of Yakshas as well as the other noble beings. So one thing which we also find is this different Puranas, some of the things you will find common, like here also it is said Alkapuri and Yaksha's abode is here. The Kubera's abode is here. The Bhagavatam says this, Linga Purana also says this. Tatrapi deva devasya bhavasyayatanam mahat tasminnayatane somaha sadaste sagano haraha. So Lord Shiva's abode is Kailas, where he lives with Uma and his ganas. So that way description comes. Again, Shiv Purana Rudra Samhita, Yuddhakand, chapter 2, verse 35 says, Satya lokosi lokanam saritam Dusarit Bhavan Shweta Varnosi Varnanam Sarasammanasam Saraha. You are the Satyaloka among the Lokas, Devaganga among the sacred rivers, the white complexion among the Varnas, and you are Manasarovar among the lakes. So the Manasarovar, what we say, Kailas Manasarovar. So Manasarovar also is described. So this is the beautiful description of Kailas. So this is the Adi Daivik Kailas, and manifestation of that is there on the earth. What we see, and human being what human being is, keeps going to places and keeps destroying the places. If Adi Daivik level does not exist, then this Adi Bhautik level will be destroyed forever. But whenever Pralay happens, the Adi Bhautik level gets destroyed, goes back into Adi, and merges back into Adi Daivik, which goes back into Bhagwan. And again from Bhagwan's mind, all the three, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik levels, they will manifest. So that Adi Daivik level of Kailas is what is referred. So if we go to this Kailas, will we not have darshan of Lord Shiva? If we have that bhavana, of course we will have. And that Chitta Shuddhi we have, Bhagwan can manifest here also. It doesn't mean that Bhagwan is sitting there so he can't come here. Of course he can manifest. The whole universe is his appearance only. So this Kailas description is Adi Daivik level, and now Bhagwan is sitting there. The Devatas, they saw this. Now, 33rd verse, Bhagwan was most calm, quiet, tranquil, because that is Shiva. Shiva is, no, but Swamiji, you got angry, when Sati killed herself. He broke his one part of the hair and then he, dashed it on the ground, and then Veerabhadra was created. So there, what had to be done, he has done. And now this Rudra, the Ganas and Veerabhadra, they have finished their job and they have come back. Matter over. Now he's sitting quietly there. So that's what they say here, that Sanandanadyair Mahasiddhaihi Shantai Samshanta Vigraham Upasyamanam Sakhyacha Bhartra Guhyaka Rakshasam. So most tranquil personality, he was, lot of devotees waiting for him. So he was being waited upon by highly realized and peaceful souls, Sanandana and others. So the four, Sanat Kumars. This is what Dakshinamurti, the form of Lord Dakshinamurti is, where the Sanat Kumars, four of them, they have approached Lord Shiva. They didn't ask a question yet. Lord Shiva didn't speak a word. It comes now. Just with this Jnana Mudra, Bhagwan gave the Upadesh. And they realized that's the episode which comes here. So Sanandana and others, as well as his friend and Kubera, they all were there. Vidya tapo yoga patham asthitam tamadhishwaram charantam vishwa suhridam vatsalya Now Bhagwan is impartial, friend of the whole universe, and he remains engaged in this vidya, knowledge, tapas, austerity, yoga. He remains absorbed in this and deep meditation. Such a Supreme Lord, what does he do all this for? Lokamangalam, for the well-being of the whole universe out of Vatsalya, like the Vatsalya word is to indicate the love of a mother. So that heart of a mother, full of love for her children, it is like that, Bhagwan says, the description here is Bhagwan's heart is full of love for all the creatures, the entire created universe. For their well-being, he does tapas and yoga and, this reveling in knowledge, all that he is doing for them. Now his physical description of it is given. Lingam cha tapasabhishtam bhasma dandajatajinam angena sandhya bhrarucha chandralekham cha bibhratam. So on his body, possessing the reddish hue of an evening cloud, he wears the marks which are dear to ascetics. Means bhasma. First of all, bhasma he applies throughout. Then he has a danda, he has matted locks, deer skin, and the crescent moon. Now what is he sitting on? Upavishtam darbhamayam brisyam brahmasanatanam naradaya pravochantam pritchate shranvatam satam. Now he is seated on the kusha grass. Kusha grass, very useful, beneficial for meditation, will conserve the energy of the body, and also the mantras that are chanted, the vibrations of that, this kusha grass will be able to absorb. That's why that kusha grass ring also is made. When puja is done, the pujari will put a ring made up of kusha grass on his hand and then do the achaman, etc. And some of those will also be there in the water, in the panchapatra. So it can even absorb the power of the mantras, transfer it to the water, help us when we sip that water. Also transfer it to the body as we are sitting on that mat. So even if we are not doing puja, but we are doing meditation, even mental chanting will produce vibration. More subtler vibration it will produce. So kusha grass is supposed to be able to absorb these and physically benefit the person who is using. Now Bhagwan is seated on kusha grass, and what is he doing there? Naradaya pravochantam. Now he is expounding the truth related to Brahman, to Naradji, who was putting forth various questions, and there are others who are listening. So Sanat Kumars also are there, other devotees are there, Naradji is there, satsang is happening there, and Bhagwan is explaining what is his position in which he is seated. Kritvaurau Kritvorau Dakshine Savyam Pada Padmam Chajanunim Chajanuni Bahum Prakoshte Akshamalam Asinam Tarkamudraya. So now his left foot is on the right thigh and his left arm is on the left knee. And his right hand is like this. This is Jnana Mudra, or it is also called as Taraka Mudra. Tarka Mudra. There is a rosary of Aksha around his right wrist, and in his right hand, he is holding this Tarka Mudra. So this is called, in other words, is also called as Jnana Mudra. This index finger bends and touches the tip of the thumb. The other three fingers are straight, joined to each other, and one holds like this. The symbol of ego, the symbol of Brahman. Ego surrenders to Brahman after detaching from this integrated body, mind, and intellect. This is Yoga Shastra, Karma Yoga, Upasana, etc. will help us to integrate BMI. Through contemplation, one will detach from what I am not, the BMI, and attach to the self, which is Brahman. And this result is Purnatvam, completeness, fulfillment, Mukti. Now this is the Jnana Mudra. So when Dakshinamurti Stotram, etc. we read, this description is what comes. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varsishtante Vasadrishiganai Avritam Brahmanishthai Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam Dakshinamurti Mide. So he's sitting in Mauna Vyakhya below this banyan tree in this mudra, Jnana Mudra. So this is the description here. Tarka Mudra, this is. Now, this is the scene which the Devatas are seeing, that when they have come to Kailas, this is what they are seeing. With their palm joined in prayer, the sages as well as the protectors of the world bowed low to Lord Shiva. The sage ranking foremost amongst those given to contemplation, who sat absorbed in the joy of oneness with the Absolute and leaning on a wooden support generally used by yogis. Lord Shiva is that foremost of all the yogis, of all the sages. The other sages are bowing down to him. At this time, these Devatas and Brahmaji, etc., they come there. So seeing Brahma arrive there, Lord Shiva, whose feet are reverenced by the Lords of Immortals, as well as by the Asura chiefs, rose and greeted him by bowing his head. Even as the most adorable Lord Vishnu bows to Kashyapa. So also the host of other Siddhas as well as the great sages who were devoted to Lord Shiva and sat around him bowed to him. So Shivji welcomes Brahmaji, bows down to him. All the others who are there, they also bow down to Brahmaji. Now Brahmaji, he addresses Lord Shiva. Now this is the stuti. Brahmaji sings. Brahma uvacha jane tvamisham vishwasya jagato yoni bijayoho shakte shivasya chaparam yattad brahma nirantaram tvameva bhagavannetat shiva shaktyo sarupayoho vishwam srijasi pasyatsi Kridan Nurna pato yatha. He says, I know who you are, O Lord Shiva. You are the ruler of this universe. You are the same infinite Brahman, but along with the power of your Maya, your Shakti, the Shiva and Shakti, you are the womb of this whole creation. Womb and the seed. Seed is Shiva, womb is Shakti. Together they come, creation happens. Now carrying on your sport through Shiva Shakti, who are essentially one, O Lord, it is you who create, protect, and swallow this whole universe like the spider. Even as the spider evolves, the cobweb preserves it and takes it back into its mouth. This is the same analogy we find in the Upanishads. In Mundaka Upanishad, it will come Yathornanabhi srijate grinnate cha, like the Urnanabhi. Spider creates the web from its own self, it lives in that, and then it again takes it back. In that way, he says, Bhagavan, you create this whole universe and you take it back into you, you sustain it in you. So he says, you are that supreme Brahman. That's the highest level, where there is no duality, no creation, nothing. If we see creation, then you are the Shiva Tattva, and using your power of Shakti, you only create this whole universe like the spider creates from itself. And you only sustain and you only take it back. Then he says, it is you who evolved the entire parampara of yajna. And through the, making Daksha as the instrument, you did this whole lila for the preservation of 3 Vedas. And by you have been fixed the bounds of propriety, which the Brahmanas who have adopted sacred vows duly respect. Meaning, whatever Daksha was, the yajna also is being done. You are the source for all yajnas, and you are the one who has even done this lila of Daksha. For various things to be taught through this lila, Bhagavan has done this. So he says, you are the one who has done this, and you are the karma phala data also. Bhagavan is the karma phala data. So he says that you confer the enjoyments of heaven or even the final beatitude on him who performs benevolent deeds. Assign the frightful inferno to the perpetrators of evil deeds. People who do punya, they get heaven, they get enjoyments. Who do papa, they go into the hell, and who each one has a mixture. So as per their karma, each one will go to both these planes. So who is the one who ensures that the jiva gets the karma phala? Bhagavan is the intelligent cause. Then he says, but how is it that in case of some individuals, the fruit of certain acts is quite the contrary? We also have that question. No? Why are good people suffering, and why are the bad people escaping? The good are supposed to, be more comfortable, and they have done punya, they are supposed to have a good life. They have not hurt and harmed anybody. And papi is supposed to suffer. Who has done sin, who is doing immoral things, supposed to suffer. But in some situations, it appears as though the fruits are contrary. Good people are suffering, bad people are prospering. Which we see even through this Daksha sacrifice. Daksha, who insulted Lord Shiva earlier, now has become Lord of all the Prajapatis. And Lord Shiva and, his Ganas, etc., they felt insulted, they have done nothing wrong, and then they came back. So in a specific context, if we see, it always appears like this, that the bad are prospering, the good are suffering. But the whole Leela, if you see properly, then Daksha gets the result of what he has done. Everybody gets the karma phala of what they have done. It's just that our standpoint becomes only very narrow standpoint in this life only. And we feel that, oh, who has seen the next life and why, how, who knows whether they got justice or not. That is where Shraddha is required. Ishvara is karma phala data. Ishvara will do what has to be done. Right now in this life itself, we are getting the results of so many things that we have not done in this life. Some past life karma, we are getting the results. So it's not only some blind belief that we have. It's a fact. Karma will give karma phala. That's law of cause and effect. Science also believes that. Just the time period in which it comes, we don't know. But we should have a very clear understanding that every karma will give karma phala and it will come to the karta only. It will not go to anybody else. Karta cannot escape that karma phala, no matter what the karta does. He try to run away here, there, nothing. It will catch up. It will catch up geographically. It will catch up even lifetimes. Bhagwan's accounting does not have any lapses and you cannot bypass it and you cannot bribe Bhagwan. Nothing can be done. Karma will give karma phala, full stop. Bhagwan's grace, when we invoke, then we are in a better situation to face it. And some Vishesh Kripa of Bhagwan happens, then that's an exceptional case. But otherwise, everybody gets karma, including all the devtas, everyone gets karma and their karma phala. So he says, you are that karma phala data, O Lord Shiva. And he then further says that generally anger will not overpower. Ignorant people get overwhelmed with anger, but the wise people, anger does not overpower them. Those who have surrendered themselves to your feet, who behold you in all living beings and who are inclined to see all living beings in their own self as identical with them. See, that is the shloka 46. Navaisatam tvaccharanarpitatmanam bhuteshu sarveshvabhi pashyatam tava bhutani chatmanya prithag didrukshatam prayena roshobhibhavedyatha pashum. One way to overcome lust and anger is this. Most powerful way to overcome lust and anger is this. To see the same divine manifesting in all the living beings, to not have partiality, attachments and aversions, to see the divine manifesting through all, then anger will not come. Bhagavan didn't get angry personally. That we saw. Even if Daksha is doing what he did, Bhagavan didn't get angry. That is the control a spiritual seeker should have. Many times our sadhana is not yet that strong and deep enough, so we get provoked by other people. And does not mean again that a spiritual person cannot get angry. Bhagavan himself got angry. But that anger doesn't overwhelm. That's the line. Even as it overwhelms the ignorant, it doesn't overwhelm the wise. So the spiritual sadhana is not that anger will never come, that anger will not overwhelm, anger will not make us do impulsive things, and we can use anger as a tool, but we don't become victims of anger. And one way to do that is, if we have surrendered to the Lord, that's the way Bhagavatam gives here, that who behold you in all living beings and who are inclined to see all living beings in their own self. Then no anger, or it will not overwhelm. Now he comes to specifically Daksha and the destruction of his Daksha sacrifice. So he says, Let not one like you, means Bhagwan, you are such a great one, kill them whose mind perceives diversity and whose eyes are fixed on the ritual, who have a malignant mind and whose heart is ever burning with jealousy at the sight of others' prosperity, and who, being naturally disposed to hurt others' feelings, prick them with abusive words and are doomed by providence. Bhagwan, please don't, you know, kill such people. They already got killed. Now he is going to ask them, he is going to ask Bhagwan to revive them and transform them. That's what he means. Because he is Lord of Prajapatis. So he has to be transformed, he has to be revived, old order has to be continued, all that reasons. And also once he has learned the lesson, then he will be humble. That's the point there. So he says that people are like that. Those who perceive duality, diversity, whose minds are fixed on the ritual. For them that karma and that karma, giving the karma phala, they think happens automatically. Brahmaji said, you are the karma phala data. They have forgotten you. They have insulted you. By not keeping the offering for Bhagwan, they have insulted the Lord. And earlier he already insulted the Lord by his verbal abuse. And why? Because his heart was burning with jealousy. And you remember we did this in detail. When he came in, Bhagwan was in quiet mode in Samadhi. Now he started comparing, I am his father-in-law, I am greater, he is lower, he's supposed to show me respect, all that. And in front of everybody, people all have got up, Devtas got up, but he has not got up. So now he took it personally. Now he's feeling insecure, he's feeling jealous, all that. So then naturally, verbally also he abused the Lord. So Brahmaji says, you are such a great one, please don't kill them. On them whose mind is bewildered by the Maya of Lord Vishnu, so difficult to overcome, and whose eye therefore is fixed on diversity, pious souls only shower their grace because of their compassionate nature. They never use their power against something which has been wrought by their own adverse fate. Their karma itself will destroy them. So the pious souls only feel more compassionate for such people. They don't further, get angry on them or curse them. They become more compassionate, saying, poor person, now he is suffering because of his own mental impurities, etc. They shower more grace on him. Now see this declaration of Brahmaji. Shivji is not saying that, how dare you challenge what I have done. After knowing what Daksha has done and after Sati has immolated herself, how dare you tell me not to get angry on these people, and how dare you tell me to show compassion to these people. That's why these things are called Leela. We very easily dismiss saying, Bhagwan, if he gets angry, it is Leela, but we get angry, then we have to get the karma phala. What nonsense is this? But we don't understand that Leela literally means a sport, and Bhagwan is not affected by any of this. So he doesn't take even what Brahmaji says very personally. He will actually listen to Brahmaji and finally bring Daksha back to life. Because it's a Leela done to convey certain teachings. For Daksha also and for everyone else also. So he doesn't take what Brahmaji says very personally and feel offended and then say that, my wife has immolated herself. What do you mean I should not kill them? And Bhagwan Shiva is a destroyer himself. And Brahmaji is coming and telling Lord Shiva, don't destroy. Meaning don't do what you are supposed to do. Shivji, if he had taken it personally, he could have insulted Brahmaji also, saying, you do your job. You are creator. I am destroyer. Don't tell me my job. In the world, that is how we live. If somebody tries to tell us something and we feel offended, how can they tell me like this? Bhagavan doesn't take it all personally. That's why it is Leela. We take it personally, so it is not Leela, it is Karma Bandhan for us. So now Brahmaji continues that omniscient as you are, your judgment has not been clouded by that Maya of Lord Vishnu, which is so difficult to get through. Therefore, my Lord, be pleased to shower your grace on these people, meaning Daksha and all others, whose judgment has been impaired by Maya and who have accordingly fixed their mind on the ritual. So please have some mercy on this Daksha and all the other people. Now he says, 50th one. Kurvadvarasyor uddharanam hatasya bhostvaya samaptasya mano prajapatehe nayatra bhagam tava bhagino daduhu kuyajvino yena makho niniyate. He says that, O Lord, presiding over destruction. So he addresses him like that. He is the one who presides over destruction. O Lord, presiding over destruction, revive the sacrifice started by Daksha. The sacrifice is fully destroyed. Now Bhagavan is saying, you please revive. Brahmaji is saying, which has been wrecked by you and could not therefore be consummated. Meaning that yajna could not be completed. While they were doing yajna, Veerabhadra and the other Ganas came, destroyed the whole thing. He says, you please revive that yajna so that it can be completed. And why it was not completed? Because the unwise priest did not offer you your share to which you had a rightful claim, inasmuch as it is by you that a sacrifice is made to yield the desired fruit. So one is revive the sacrifice so that it can be completed. Second is, let Daksha also come to life. Jivatadya jamano yam prapadyetakshini bhagaha bhrigo shramashruni rohantu pushno dantascha purvavat. So he says here that Daksha, who is the Yajman, may he also come back to life. Let Bhaga get his eyes. Let Bhrigu's mustache and beard sprout again. Let Pusha's teeth reappear as before. Devanam bhagna gatranam ritwijam chayudhashmabhihi bhavatanugrahitanam ashumanyostvanaturam. Now these devatas also, their limbs and all are broken. May they all come back. They become hale and hearty, healthy. And the priests also. And by your grace, may everyone get restored to normalcy. Eshate rudra bhagostu yaduchistodvarasya vai yajnaste rudra bhagena kalpatamadya yajnahan. Let that which is left of the sacrifice offerings be your share, O God presiding over destruction. Let the sacrifice, O Rudra, be consummated today with your share, O destroyer of sacrifice. So here Brahmaji has requested Bhagavan to bring back Daksha to life, to restore all the damage that has been done. Now Shivji does not say that, so I should allow Daksha to get away with whatever he did. What about Sati? Will she ever come back to life? She has immolated herself. What is the net result of all this? Daksha has to get his punishment. So that's why I'm saying it is a Leela, Bhagavan's Leela it is. And what Bhagavan replies, that we will see in the next chapter. Today we will stop here. Any questions? Okay. So let's do the art.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की, मंगल आरती। मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।